Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on October 28th, 2025 at approximately 8 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's journey to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my own day-to-day life, and the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I use to guide just about every decision I make. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for other people with varying degrees of continue to work for myself and I've literally helped thousands of other people with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, with this in mind, just check in here. Before we get into it, hats off to Storm. He is our primary moderator in the background. He is the one that keeps tech running and making certain that problem children do not stick around long enough. Ow. Well, that's going to be a problem. Not to worry. If I end up dying, it's temporary. Let's get the throat working. Tabak. Welcome to the way my world works. Now, as I was trying to say, Storm is the primary moderator in the background, and he makes sure problem children do not stick around in the chat room long. We also have Ellie Moon in the chat room. She is the primary moderator inside the chat room that helps conversation keep going. Clearly, she goes out of her way to welcome newcomers on a regular basis in case I miss you. Now, starting off, we have Mike Jones is in with the gold. And Eternity is, how you doing, Mike? Glad you could join us. Then we have Eternity Eternal, who is in with the silver. How's it going, Eternity? I know things have been hectic around you lately, so I hope they're mellowing out. Bob Thorson, and I hope I'm pronouncing that wrong. Oh, wrong. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But welcome back. Glad to see you. And you are in with the bronze. Now, today we are looking at a very simple formula. Okay, success equals belief plus focused effort. Now, I've written a number of articles on this, and yeah, I know, Positive Perspectives, the magazine, went on hold, something to do with way too many things on the go and my focus completely collapsing. Not to mention my heart. That said, I am scheduled to bring it back into print, as well as a day in the office. But when I talk about success, it doesn't matter what area you're talking about. Okay, what area of your life. And Philip Blair, you are in with honorable mention. Glad to see you. Now, when we are talking about success, bear in mind, this can mean anything from completing eating a meal to buying a house and anywhere in between and beyond. Okay, whatever your imagination can conceive, if you set out to do something, success to me simply means you attained your goal. Now, I'm wondering, right there, why don't I do it that way? Just because I can. Now, I'm still a dinosaur. So, this funny little book I just picked up is a neat little dictionary I literally grew up using. Well, actually, in all fairness, my older brother did. And I'm just curious what it says here. Probably shouldn't do this on air, but what the heck? It just dawned on me that this was an option. Okay. Whoop. There we are. According to this dictionary, success means the favorable end or result of an undertaking, the gaining of wealth, fame, or the like. A person or a thing that turns out well, as his book was a great success. Now, in order to attain that success, you must believe it's possible and then set out doing the things necessary to make it possible. Okay, for instance, if I desire to leave this room, successfully leaving the room requires me doing the following: standing up, navigating my way to the door, opening the door, and then walking out. If I don't do the first step, which is stand up, I'm not leaving the room because the chair I'm sitting on is not on wheels. Okay. Now, what do we got here? Oh, no. Philip, where it comes to songs about the heart, I don't. I listen and watch things to try and distract myself at this point. But where it comes to success, number one, doesn't matter what the goal is. Pick a goal. Robin, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Whatever goal you have. Now, there is a term, a bucket list. Okay, there was a movie out years ago called A Bucket List, and literally boils down to set goals for yourself that you desire to attain. Okay, I've got a lot of them, and I have been neglecting doing a lot of things necessary to get those goals accomplished. So now what I've got to do is first of all dig something down here so I can put it back where it belongs. I am not having a good day today, in case you couldn't tell. Okay, I'll leave that there for the moment. Now, when you pick a goal, it is best, and this is why I wrote the first book, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. Okay, in that book, I laid out a simple formula. Okay, and that book is available on the Buy Me a Coffee website, buymeacoffee.com/innervoiceJ. Okay, but you pick a book and pick a pick a goal, and then turn around and start eliminating or moving aside, altering the energy on anything that is not contributing towards that success. I'm going to have a heck of a time tonight. I have no idea what the whole problem is here. Now, Robin says, Keith, my middle name is procrastination. Any advice? Well, we can start with the obvious issue. Change your last name or change your middle name to immediate action. But where it comes to procrastination, there's a simple method for it. Okay. And normally I've got a clipboard here, but since my clipboard has gone, there it is. I have a very simple method that works like a charm for me. Okay. Start off and do this right now while you're thinking about it. Okay. grab a sheet of paper, or if you use electronic notes, do that. Okay, but take a look take a look from where you're sitting right this moment. Okay, spot one thing that you know you've got to move, that you've got to change, you've got to put someplace, one thing that is not where it belongs. Just one. Okay, write it down. Now you'll notice, I don't expect you to be able to read this even at close hand. It did come up that quick. Okay. I don't expect you to be able to read it right offhand, but you write down the first thing you look at that you know requires replacement, okay, or requires completion. Write it down. Now, on my list, I've got books I'm reading the whole 9 yards. Write down one. Now, here's the kicker. When you write that goal down, make sure it's only going to take 15 minutes to half an hour to complete. If it's going to take longer than 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, break it into smaller parts. Okay, you write the first one down. Make sure you get 3 on the list. Okay, now you clearly have more tasks in mind than 3. Okay, but you write 3 down. When you finish 1, check it off and immediately add a third one to the bottom. Okay, now remember, it takes an average of 21 days to change to either form or break a habit. Okay, it will require deliberate concentration on your part. There is no shortcut to it that I'm aware of. But the reason I say pick 3 is because, number one, 3 is the number of creation. But much more importantly, if you start listing off everything, you could do like I did at one point and end up listing off, 3 pages of tasks that needed to be done. Now, this particular technique I had corroborated by a multimillionaire who literally carries a pad with him, and he does the same thing day in and day out, night in and night out. Now, don't forget, on that list, remember to put things on it like breakfast, lunch, supper, and sleep. Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing there, Robin. Okay. I was writing down a long list, and this is why it is recommended you put it at only 3. Okay. Now, by doing that, this millionaire, when he showed me, he says the benefit of writing down when you're going to sleep is by the time you go to sleep, you've already got 3 things on your list for the following morning. Now, if you have an office like I do, you probably have a routine that if you are not careful, you'll have to follow the routine every morning. But if you remember, with wherever you set up your finances, keep that area clear. Okay. When you're done with something, put it back. Okay. If, like, I've got my clipboard here, when I'm done the show, I'll put it back up on top, or I'll end up putting it down here. And there's my other clipboard. See, I've had a rough day today, so it's a little scattered. But success, the first thing you got to realize is you've got to believe it is possible. Okay, regardless of what you've been through. With your middle name being procrastination. Okay. See, I used to procrastinate, then I just got to the point I just didn't do it at all. But with your middle name being procrastination, you're very well versed, obviously, at postponing doing things. And I will tell you, the biggest problem that you run into, that I run into anyway, is you end up with, for instance, all of these files Let me just see if I can get this down without dropping it on my head. What do you think? All of these files I pulled out of my filing cabinet to reorganize. They're still sitting on top, but I don't want to be sitting there doing all of the files at once. Okay, so what you end up doing is you go, okay, I've got to refile these files, and you go, I'm going to refile 5 files. Now by breaking your goals down, okay, once you believe you can do it, okay, you're off to the races. Now here's the kicker, okay, many people get caught up in the idea, well, I've always done it this way, it's a rut I'm in. You're in a rut by choice. Telling yourself you're in a rut in polite terms, and I use it myself, so I'll admit, when I say I'm in a rut, okay, it is an excuse not to change it. Now, of course, the real kicker to it all is this. When you're going to change your life path, you've got to be doing it for you. How many people have you talked to that have said, I went to the doctor and they said, if I don't quit smoking, I'm going to have problems. Or if I don't quit this eating habit, I'm going to end up with diabetes or whatever. The doctor gives them all the information necessary and they still turn around and ignore it. Okay, this is because unless you're doing it for you, you're going to run into problems in all probability. And of course, I don't know about you guys, but I've spent 62 years building some pretty stupid habits. Okay, and it's a real simple issue from my standpoint. Saying what you're going to do is a great idea, but the proof, as they say, is in the pudding. Okay, if you say you're going to change the way you're doing things, make it happen. Okay, I turned around when I come out of the hospital and I made a commitment to myself that I am not going to just put in time anymore. I'm going to find a way to live. Okay, and one of the things I did there were a number of contracts that I had signed, okay, where they didn't do a thing. I have talked it over with my wife. We are going to clear the bills. Okay, but success boils down to making a commitment to yourself. Now, people talk about a business plan. You're opening a business, put a 1 year, a 5 year, and a 10-year plan together. Now, let's be clear on something about this whole planning thing. When we are talking about a business plan, running a house, running your life is a business. And in all fairness, it best be the primary business that you focus on. Hey, look at that. My throat's not seizing at this point. Now, once you put those 3 lists down, now you've heard people say, oh, I'm going to pray on it, or I'm going to talk about this positive aspect. I'm telling you, and give it a shot if you haven't already. Sit there and pray for your bank account to grow in volume. Absolutely, sit there and pray. Don't get off your tail feathers. Don't do anything, and just pray for your bank account to increase. Or sit there and tell yourself over and over and over, I am a multimillionaire. Okay, Cosmic, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Repeatedly tell yourself, I am a multimillionaire. Now, I've been telling myself that for decades. You know what? My bank account still shows I'm a pauper. Okay. And yet, I still do my best to follow through with it, with getting things organized. Now, where the list comes in handy is you write it down. There it is, bringing your physical intention into the physical world. Okay. Now, by going and acting on that list, by doing that, you are making the focused effort to get those tasks cleared off. And again, once you get one written, like for instance, on this list, I've got nature, coffee table, dishes away. Okay, well, nature, I am in the middle of reading. I'm actually about 2/3 of the way reading, and through reading the Nature Encyclopedia cover to cover. So this is one of the reading goals I've got. When I checked that off, once I read that, I added to the next thing on the list was freeze 1 crock pot worth of applesauce. Okay, yes, at 2 o'clock this morning I was making applesauce. Silly time to do it, but it worked. Okay, and then you just carry on rotating it. Okay, when one gets done, add a third one to the bottom of the list. But remember, you're going back to do the second one. Okay, so for me, I wrote down freeze the crock pot full. Then I went back and cleared the coffee table. Okay, and this is the way to stay focused. The list brings it out of the etheric into the physical plane where you can now work on it and actually see progress. You know, it becomes very trying if you've let things get out of hand. And this is something we're going to talk about. This is Tuesday. This is something we're going to be covering over the next couple of weeks here. Because I'm going to be walking through this one step at a time over the course of the next several weeks. Like I said, I'm hoping that what I'm talking about here helps you guys take motivation and become a little more organized, a little more focused, and thereby transform your own life. Now, with that happening, okay, my concept is this. I lead the way. Okay, you make changes to your life, and the people that interact with you now take motivation from your efforts. Therefore, you become the leader of the next group. Where are we here? Cosmic Joe goes, I had to debate Malware Bytes. Well, delete Malware Bytes, who charged me for the service again. Okay. Now, that's going into technology, and much as I do feel for you, Joe, much as I do feel for you, that is one of those things where I take a look at it and go, it's technology, somebody else is dealing with it. Hence, I end up phoning Storm. Okay. The reality of it is, technology has progressed, in my opinion, to the point of being detrimental to society. The reason I use a sheet of paper is because, number one, it's physical. It's right there. You can take it with you without having to have power, although you might require light. Okay. And when it gets filled up, it is biodegradable in a hurry. Okay. But using the list will help keep you focused. But again, you've got to believe it's possible. Now, one of the big things I will warn you about, there's a lot of things I pull off that I would not suggest you do. Okay. I.e., in my case, I run into a stone wall. I'm not making headway. Hey, let's try something relatively old to me. Let's die again and restart. It's kind of like rebooting a computer for me. It's a bad method. Don't do this. Okay. Thus far, if you take the body as the computer, I've rebooted my body 11 times to date. Now, you can take that and do what you will with it. But I am a firm believer and a firm proponent that going back to the Stone Age, as it were, or at least pre-high tech, okay, bear in mind, a pen is high tech compared to what some things were. Mankind used to write in the dirt with a stick. Okay, so we are talking about, when we're talking about pre-tech, I mean pre-heavy-duty computers, technological computers. Okay, because this method will keep you mobile and keep things happening. Okay, now I am taking a look at a number of things in my life. Okay, one of the biggest things you got to remember is this whole idea that society has taught people is this idea of instant gratification, or success without effort. It doesn't work. Okay, and yes, people have told you that about artists. Oh, don't go into artwork because you can't make money at it. It's a question of marketing and focused effort, knowing how to do it. Now, I am not a good marketer. This much is clear. 8 books on the market, and I'm still not making money. Okay. But when you desire your life to change for you, success literally boils down to any task, no matter how big it is, no matter how intricate. Having a task laid out before yourself, a goal, and completing that task, getting it finished. Maybe that task is just, maybe you're having problems, and like me, maybe you don't like going outside much. So maybe the task is getting out of the house for a walk. Okay, write it down. Now, I didn't actually leave the house today because I had too many things on the go. Okay, but even things like going for that 15-minute, half-hour walk, write it down. Okay, and then fill them out. But like I said, you only go to 3 goals. Okay, but make sure each one is only 15 minutes to half an hour in length. Okay. And Cosmic, I absolutely agree with you. I am slowly learning. Okay. Because Cosmic Joey just going, if you know how to advertise your product and abilities, you can get ahead. Yeah. Bad Daddy, how we doing? I'm glad to see you. I don't think I've seen you in here for a while. And Bad Daddy goes, if I can't be grateful with little, how could I be with much? Absolutely a beautiful way of putting it there, Bad Daddy. I talked to a millionaire one day, and he turned around and he says, look, I've been miserable rich and I've been miserable poor. He goes, hands down, I would rather be miserable rich. Okay. But like you're suggesting there, Bad Daddy, I am very much a minimalist. Okay. I'm a pack rat, mind you, but I'm also minimalist. I'm getting rid of a lot of things. Okay. And again, I've managed to survive barely keeping a roof over my head. You can bet your bottom dollar, as money starts to flow, I will be in a lot better shape and a lot more relaxed. One of the biggest things I run into is if you've been doing the same sort of thing for years, or even for a week or two, you can get into a very comfortable rut. Okay. This is why you've got to put boundaries in place that you're content with. Okay. And here's the thing, the karmic laws I live by, and the ones listed at the top of this stream: be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. All 3 of those are equally important. Okay. Because if one falters, the whole system falls. Now, the reality is you desire your life to become what you consider successful. Maybe it's your bank account doesn't look right. Okay. And here's what I'm doing with mine. I'm going through my finances right now going, okay, where are they sitting? And then put a minimum on them. This is where, and then every time you get money come in, up that minimum balance a little. Now, bear in mind, on a bank account, depending on what your income looks like, upping the minimum by 50 cents is still pushing the bottom up. Now, I'm 62. If I'd have been doing this as I told other people to do it, okay, if I'd have started when I was 20, okay, I would have been a millionaire now. As it stands, it might be tricky to get that point before I die again. But the reality is, the progress of any activity starts up in the upper echelon, starts with thinking about what it is you desire. Okay. Once you get that thought process out of the way, now you write it down. This brings it down into the physical world where it can be observed. Okay, where other people can see it. Okay. If you just simply talk about it, certainly you can pass it on, but people will miss chunks of it. Well, that was the whole catch, Bad Daddy. When I was younger, I did spend and give my money away, even to the point of only 3 years ago. I got a lump sum. Now I've been fighting to keep my roof over my head, and only 3 years ago, I came into a lump sum of money. Instead of pocketing it and leaving it in the bank, I loaned it to somebody else. Now, they have since returned it, but I spent the last 3 years trying to keep a roof over my head, where had I not given the money away, I'd have been in a lot better shape, You know, but by thinking about it, you think about it, talk about it. Other people can share in your idea. Write it down. This draws it into the material world where now you can hand it to somebody and they can benefit from it. Hence my series I've written, Believe in Your. Okay, believe in yourself, believe in your finances, believe in your business, and come to think of it, I gotta go down to the printer because they should have believe in your success in print. Robin goes, I wasted my money horribly. Gee, I wasted mine fantastically. I don't have any left. Okay. I have spent way too much money, and I could tell you all sorts of bad things I've done. But what I am doing, okay, and this is where this comes in. Okay. When you desire to be successful for you, this is when it works. Okay. One of the biggest things that I'm finding, one of the biggest things that I'm finding is that by looking at what's coming in, I do not even bother with a budget. I bother with goals. Where do I desire my money to be sitting? How much am I aiming at? How many books am I looking to sell, etc.? And this is what I've got to start working on. Because if I don't, nobody's going to. I hired thousands of dollars worth of marketers to no avail. So once you have a goal in mind, yeah, Robin, you like so many of us. Robin goes, I was young, dumb, and stupid, thinking it would never end. I made the exact same mistake, and here's the stupid part. I am a professional psychic. I saw my job collapsing 5 years before it did. I still did nothing about it. Learn from my mistakes. Okay, and they were stupid mistakes. Start planning for your retirement now, regardless of your age. Yeah. Bad Daddy goes, I just feel everything will work out. And it's a great thought. And if you choose to follow that, Bad Daddy, absolutely do. I did. Okay. I am now so far behind the eight ball that I am scrambling to survive tomorrow. Never mind rent day. Okay. So just a caution. Everything will work out. But the reality is, you've got to be the one making that happen. Okay, you're the one that's going to have to go, okay, I require this information. And this is just a caution. I'm not going to use any company name at all. But make absolutely certain, okay, make absolutely certain that you know exactly what you have to do. Ask questions, because I'm telling you, in my experience, corporations, government, medical, doesn't matter who they are. They won't tell you what you've got to know. Okay, you're going to have to push for the answers. Okay, and you're going to have to be the one to get up and make it happen. Bad Daddy goes, but I feel everything will work out, and I'm still blessed. And then Robin goes, Bad Daddy, Bad Daddy, um, if that's just the way to think about it, though, well, oh, I don't know if that's just the way to think about it. Here's the thing, okay, any way that you can keep your stress level down, do so. Oh, there we go. Now, there's there's a whole lot of things going on. Now, do not, Robin, Robin is just bringing to mind that she's all about faith. Okay, and I'm hoping I'm right that that's a she, because I've seen Robins with both a male and female. I am definitively a believer in faith, as in I believe in God, I believe in Christ, probably more so than most. But there is a saying that goes in virtually every spiritual path I've talked to people about. And that is that God, your higher power, whatever deity you're turning to, helps those that help themselves. Meaning, turn to your faith, do your prayers, do your positive affirmations, but get off your tail feathers to make things happen. One of the best things that I've ever found is that when I actually got off my tail feathers and cleared the area of the stuff that was not where it belonged, number one, I think more clearly. And this is probably half my problem right now. But when you've got the clutter out of the way, you will think more clearly, you'll rest more fully, and net result, your temperament will balance. The neat part of I was just reading what's going on there. When we are talking about being successful in your life, okay, remember, you can only, no matter who you're dealing with, like I've got a wife, but no matter how much effort I put into the marriage, if I'm the only one putting effort in, that is only 50% of the required effort. Okay. And by the way, being in a relationship does not mean you have to fight. Okay. My wife and I have been together for 5 years now. Okay. We have never had one fight. And rest assured, I have not missed it. I don't mind the lack of fighting at all. But it boils down to pick a goal, whatever it is. Take a look around your room right now, wherever you're sitting. Okay. If you have to be driving while you're listening to me, absolutely keep listening. Don't go looking around for anything other than where the traffic is. Yeah, Bad Daddy, absolutely. There's an old saying that goes, everything in moderation. Okay, and this is why I take a look at where it comes to income. I have to have X amount of dollars minimum just to keep a roof over my head and keep my utilities paid and my food paid. Okay, I've got to make sure this happens. But the fact that you've got to have something, you know, when you look at the stuff you've got, Cosmic goes, since I am permanently disabled, mental health suffered and confusion set in. Oh, I am so glad to hear that. And then Cosmic just goes on, your mentorship has made me real and made me realize many things. You know, the fact is, regardless of what the permanent disability is, there are workarounds. Now, granted, like I've got a bad leg, and the odds of my ever running the marathon are not good. Okay, primarily because I'm not going to try and run down the road carrying a cane. Yeah, and Robin, that's just it. When we start taking a look at rich, ask yourself this: does rich mean having a lot of money, or does rich mean having a positive outlook? And here's what I mean by that. I was sitting with a gentleman living on the street. I wasn't living on the street, but he was. And we're sitting there just having a coffee, okay, and we were talking along just like you and I are now. And this guy in a business suit, real ruffle and rough business suit, comes down and plants himself beside us on the curb. And we let him talk for the first bit. And he goes, I'm so depressed. I used to have a fabulous job. I was married. I had kids. Now I've lost my job, my wife, my family, my house. It's all gone. Right? He says, I'm now living on the street in a cardboard box. The guy beside me leans forward to look around me, looks directly at the guy, and I kid you not, he looks the guy dead in the eyes and he goes, You got a cardboard box, you lucky SOB. And guess what the actual words were? You know, the neat part about it, okay, was showed everybody around him at that moment. It's not what you've got that matters. Because as the Egyptians found out, you can't exactly take the material world with you. Where are we here? One of the things that I did find where it comes to personal success is you decide what is successful. And as was blatantly pointed out to me by both my youngest son and my wife, okay, I unfortunately get into these moods, even myself. I'll get into these moods going, I am such a burden on people. And my youngest son and my wife both looked at me the other day and they went, Keith, we get to choose when you're a burden, not you. Okay, it didn't do much for my mood, but it did make the point right and the point clear. Yeah, Robin goes, rich to me would mean knowing I can cover the basics and keep things straight for myself and family. You know, one of the biggest things that I've always found is if you did when you desire your life to change for you, that's when success can come about. That's when you can successfully make the transition. Okay. Now, you may do it in a different fashion than I do it. I use the list method because for me, it works. And if you're using a method right now that doesn't work, that isn't working, it's time to give a different one a shot. Donna, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. I don't think I've seen you around in a while. Hopefully things are working out well. Now, I was supposed to get something done this week again, which I didn't, i.e., striving to get the topics for the coming week done. This is one of those things where I keep getting sidetracked by life. Okay, but again, and this will solve that problem. I just have to stay on it. Okay, get the things done one step at a time. Like I'm keeping an eye on things right now. And thank you for that, LA. I did desire to get down under 200. Well, as of this morning, okay, I was down to 164.4 pounds. Don't ask me in kilograms. I know I'm in Canada, but that's beside the point. Okay, I still think in imperial. That said, okay, at 160, which was way back when I was a young adult, I was absolutely perfectly healthy. So I still got a little room to work. Okay, but I am keeping an eye on it at this point. And one of the things that I'm looking at, because I looked at the speed I was dropping weight and going, okay, this last week, my stress level has been off the charts. And that'll burn calories. Like it or not, it does. So I've increased my caloric intake simply to put the food in so I don't plummet. I mean, since the 19th, I have dropped about 14 pounds. This is not a good speed. Okay. One of the things I look at when I'm looking at, am I going to be successful, is this little question. And you've got to ask yourself this. Okay. I looked in the mirror and went, I decided, I would like to be successful. I know I can do it. And then it dawned on me, but do I believe that that can change? And I'll tell you, that has been a struggle for me for my entire life. Okay, so what I'm suggesting to you is take a serious look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I ready to let go of the negative, of the life that I've been living? Am I ready to discard the bad habits? Not, did somebody else say I have to? Okay, because I'll tell you, I've only seen it happen once. Well, there was one situation where I kid you not, it was a religious declaration that literally ended a famine. Okay, now for me, I'm not going to sit here and start telling you passages from the Bible or anything else. I have myself read the Bible cover to cover. Okay, I'm in the middle of reading the Book of Mormon. Loving life, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Okay, but that's my journey. You get to follow whichever journey you would like. I do, and this is going to sound really, really egocentric, but I do strongly suggest, if you found yourself in a bit of a rut where you're having trouble finding a way to break out, okay, the series of little booklets that I've written, believe in your success in yourself and follow your dreams, believe in your finances and follow your dreams, and believe in your business and follow your dreams. All three of those are available on the website. Okay, on buymeacoffee.com/inner voice, inner voice J. Okay. One thing you will find is I know when I'm looking at self-help books, I've looked at a lot of them and I've read a lot of them, but I kept coming back to the same thing. I'm still looking. Okay. And what tells me that? Oh, you're more than welcome, Donna C. I'm glad you showed up. You know, the reality of it is I am striving to put, and we'll call it the wisdom I've gained through trial and error and really, really stupid ideas. Okay. I'm hoping to pass that information on to you so you don't do the same silly thing. Okay. Now, this applies to everybody. What I did discover decades ago was paupers and millionaires have the same problems. Okay. And you're going, what problem could a millionaire possibly have? Do I want to buy a Porsche or a Lotus? Well, I knew a guy that literally had a Porsche and talk about too much money. He owned a Porsche 928. He put a bumper sticker on it. Of all things, a bumper sticker that said, my Lotus is in the shop. Okay. The sad reality was he had his Lotus in the shop. Okay. But let me tell you something. No matter what vehicle you have, think about the rationality. You're relying on about 16 square inches of rubber, period. No matter how good the car. Okay. You know, one of the other things I found is many times you'll start and you'll stop. Oh, I can't get it right. I keep running into hiccups. Push through. Let's not forget when you first learned to walk, you didn't get up and start walking fully. Very few people do. You got up, you fell down, you got back up. Same thing applies for changing the path your life is on. And this stream, we are focused on aliens, UFOs, spirituality, finance, and self-help, amongst other things, and we may throw the odd thing in there as we go along. Okay, the idea is so that when you get off this stream, you walk away feeling better than you did, feeling better when you get off the stream than when you got on it. Lord knows, in all fairness, I actually do. So I really want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me tonight. You know, for sharing your time with us. I do hope this information has helped you move forward. Okay. And again, if you've got questions, absolutely put them in the chat room in all caps. It makes it so much easier for me to find. Okay. Or drop me a line. Okay. The website, buymeacoffee.com, does actually provide a way to do that. Or drop me a line at innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca. Okay, with this in mind, because we're just down to the last 5. Okay, I do want to thank all of you for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you again on Friday. Okay, but until then, that'll be at 8 p.m. PST. Until then, absolutely, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.